Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Unbelievable fight to conclude an absolutely astounding card over in Riyadh. Dmitry Bivol wins the second instalment of what we hope is going to be a trilogy. He wins a majority decision over Artur Beterbiev. I had it the same as one of the judges, 115-113 for Bivol. The other judge had it 116-112. Yeah, maybe. And one guy had it a draw. But I mean, you know what? There were swing rounds, and I definitely thought Bivol won it. But it was such a hard-fought contest between two guys who are at the absolute zenith of their powers. Very contrasting styles. Beterbiev, come forward, hunt you down, water on rock, lots of mental pressure as well as physical pressure, extremely heavy-handed, battering ram jab, quick feet, deceptively quick feet on Beterbiev. He's a thinking fighter. People think he's just a brute strength, big, sort of like a Bigfoot type that, creeps up on you in the forest and won't leave you alone. He's a bear of a man, no doubt. But here's the thing. What is he, 40? And he is fighting at 175, having in his amateur days been a heavyweight, that is to say a 200-pounder, not a super heavyweight. So let's say that a professional equivalent of a cruiserweight. He still gets to 175. Now, his age and the weight may have, to some degree, impacted on the final third of the fight, which is where I thought Bivol won it. Again, I had it 7-5. But to start with, you had Bivol coming out of the traps like a proverbial bat out of hell. Very, very high pace. Lots of big flurries, boxing very much on the back foot, but aggressively so. Beterbiev stalking, walking you down. First couple of rounds, I think, went to Bivol, but in the third round, you've got the feeling Beterbiev's getting closer. He is getting closer. Beterbiev, quite early on, had an abrasion around the eye, and you could see that the flurries were definitely impacting quite seriously on Beterbiev, but Bivol couldn't put a dent in him. And that's got to be a worry, especially if you're fighting at that pace. Because what it means is the moment you take your foot off the gas, and inevitably you'll have to, unless you are supremely conditioned, then, 36 minutes of fighting, 12 rounds is a long, long time to keep up with that type of tactic. And sure enough, in the middle rounds, Beterbiev was getting closer, and you were beginning to think he's taking over here. And after 6-7 rounds, I had Beterbiev ahead. I thought it was. I don't think it was a great deal. And there were a couple of rounds, like I say, which you could probably call swing rounds, the early ones. But I definitely thought Beterbiev was in the ascendancy. He was having the effect. He was forcing Bivol to fight at a rate that was, no human being can keep that up. And I mentioned the conditioning a moment ago. The conditioning on both these guys is just off the chart. I mean, to do what they do at that pace, being punched as hard as they both are punched, because although Bivol's natural style is to hit and then move out, it's the hit, not get hit sort of thing. Whereas with Beterbiev, there is no reverse gear, seemingly. He has to be pushed back. And by the middle, after about 7 rounds, I'm thinking Beterbiev might stop him here. This is the way it was going. And certainly when Beterbiev was connecting with Bivol to the body as well as the head, it was having a visible effect. That is to say, it was making Bivol think. It was asking him questions. Do you want any more of this? Can you do this for another 5 rounds? That sort of thing. Whereas when Bivol was landing the flurries on Beterbiev, there was no visible change of tactics, no visible change of facial expression, really, even though that they were both getting marked up a little bit. Only cosmetic, superficial injuries, but nevertheless, it was having an effect on him, I think, Beterbiev. They were having an effect on each other. But then somehow, once you were thinking, I think Beterbiev's got this, what happens? Bivol gets what I can only describe as a second wind and suddenly springs to life again. And starts with, he was doing these little semicircles, trying to offset Beterbiev, trying to keep him honest, trying to contain all that power. And I mean, it was just a stunning boxing display in the last third of the fight, and that is where the fight was won. Dmitry Bivol edged it. I actually predicted, if you look at my prediction video, I thought Bivol would win close, 115, 113, and that's what I had it. I thought Bivol would win. And you do have to ask, at 40 years of age, Beterbiev, that weight, you know, the miles on the clock, not just the fistic ones, but just having been alive, all those training camps. He's an amazing physical specimen, but I just think Bivol had just a little bit more. Stylistically, neither of them really made that many alterations from the first fight. You could argue that this was part two. But of course, what we need now is a decider, because I hate this, as I've said this in videos before, I hate it when one guy wins the first fight and the other guy gets revenge in the second fight and then they leave it. No, it's 1-1. Like, you know, Chris Eubank and Liam Smith, and there's a couple of others you could mention, AJ, Andy Ruiz. You know, if it's 1-1, you need a decider. Boxing, one of the great traditions of boxing is the trilogy. You know, Gatti Ward, Barrera Morales, obviously Ali Frazier, could say Ali Norton, you know, 2-1 to Ali, but questionable decision there at the end, but you know what I mean? But what we need are those things, you know. This is so good to watch. These two fights were so beautifully entertaining in the sense that you were getting everything. You were getting technique, you were getting the schooling of two elite fighters, you were getting action, you know, both were landing cleanly. You know, questions were being asked about things like stamina, punch resistance, you know, there were body punches flying in. Who would not want to see a third fight, a decider? Absolutely, we need a third fight. So for the time being anyway, Dmitry Bivol is the undisputed light heavyweight champ, having won the belts off Beterbiev. He's also got the Ring Magazine belt. And all credit to him. All credit to him. And taking nothing away from Artur Beterbiev, both these guys are just unbelievable fighters and, you know, very much elite guys. Very much elite guys. And again, I think, I'm just not to, you know, labour the point, but I think the fight was won for Bivol in the final third. I think he rediscovered, he just got that second win, rediscovered a bit of energy and was able to, you know, to just contain a tiring Beterbiev who at no point looked hurt. It was the fatigue that was kind of, I think, getting to him rather than the punches. Beterbiev has got just an unbelievable chin. Well, they both have. They both got great chins. Yeah, marvellous stuff. Marvellous. Brilliant night's boxing. Astounding main event. Some great... The only sort of black mark for me was the draw, Hamza Shiraz, Carlos Adames. Adames clearly won that fight, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to... I mean, I said that in my previous video. But I really enjoyed Kabayel, you know, knocking out Zhilei Zhang. I thought that was a brilliant performance. The evening started off with an absolute barn burner. Callum Smith upsetting Joshua Buatsi. I thought Buatsi would win that. That was a great fight. Parker got rid of Bacoli in 2, which was a bit of an anticlimax, but not really. Can't really say you know, it was that much of a surprise when you consider the circumstances. Ortiz Jr., Madrimov didn't really take off because Madrimov was too negative, and Ortiz got a deserved decision. Who have I missed out? There were so many, aren't there? Yeah, I think that's about. I think I've covered them all, haven't I? But what do you think? Comments below, of course. What a great evening of boxing. And, you know, let me know about Bivol, Beterbiev. What do you think? What are your opinions? And, yeah, thank you very much for watching, for following my videos this evening. I've really enjoyed making them. And please subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed them and you're new. Give us a little support. Give me that little thumbs up thing. If you don't mind, because it takes a second, don't cost you anything. What a night of boxing. Brilliant. All right, ladies and gentlemen, nice one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and bye for now.